Hi, welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about NINEFOX GAMBIT by Yoon Ha Lee. NINEFOX GAMBIT is a book that has been sitting on my shelf since 2018, I want to say. And for this reason and that, in 2018 I was in graduate school, and then, the world changed a lot. I have just not gotten to read it, and I have wanted to for a very long time, and I had hoped that maybe even last year, when we did our November Sci-Fi Month, that I would finally be able to read it, because it's a very well-regarded novel. And I just, for some reason, for years and years, it eluded me. It sat on my shelf. It looked at me. And now, here it is at last. I don't know, sometimes you make a call, and a book that has sat on your shelf is all of a sudden accompanied by the remaining books in the series. Because I had such a good time with NINEFOX GAMBIT that I immediately turned around and snagged the 2 sequels to round out the Machineries of Empire trilogy and the Hexarchate collection of short stories in the same universe, because it's that good. It's like that sort of immersive science fiction that just draws you in and draws you on, propulsive. I'm not generally a reader of military science fiction. It just, I don't know, for this reason and that, generally a pacifist. It just isn't, it's a hard sell for me. And so perhaps that was one of the reasons why it took me a little while to read this book. But wow, what a gift. Because the author is doing some very clever things, and some things that I did not expect, and some things that I did expect, because I've sort of been aware of this story for a while. And this is a very rambling sort of episode, I'm finding, but it's a book that you want to sit and chew with. It's, as I said, a military science fiction sort of space opera set in a far distant future where this sort of imperial system known as the Hexarchate runs all of its science fictional technology through the ritual use of a calendar, and deviations from that calendar create calendrical heresies. And our main character, Calcaris, or Charis, I don't know, read the book, didn't listen to an audiobook, always hard to tell on these things, is tasked with removing a heretical group that's taken over a fortress in space, the Fortress of Scattered Needles. And in pursuit of that goal, she has a long disgraced but very effective general implanted in her brain, Shuos Jadao, this sort of maniacal but very effective general who 400 years ago committed a genocide, destroying his army and another huge army in one fell swoop, but never lost a battle, and so they preserve his consciousness and periodically download him into other brains for the purpose of these sort of military campaigns. And we see over the course of the novel the ways in which Calcaris and Shuos Jadao, a very hard name for me to pronounce for some reason, influence each other, the ways that they sort of bleed through in sharing this consciousness, and the ways in which the Hexarchate and this Kel woman, this is one of the branches of the Hexarchate, so it's sort of like a surname or a title or a military designation, how complicated the relationship with the Imperial Core can become. It's, thoughtful, it's queer while retaining its focus on these military sci-fi aspects. It's, I'm really excited to have my copies of the remaining books in the series come, because I'm just like, I need to see what happens next. That's like the best thing with a completed series, is now I can go directly into what happens next. And yeah, it's still timely. I think it's one of those things where like really dedicated military science fiction are looking at space and science fiction through the lens of Imperium. Those things that stay sort of perpetually relevant, like Exordia that we talked about at the beginning of the year. A similar sort of book. Very different, but if you enjoy Exordia, you'll enjoy NINEFOX GAMBIT. If you like NINEFOX GAMBIT, you're going to like Exordia by Seth Dickinson. And this is all to say that I had a really great time. I am so glad that the book arrived for me at the right moment. This is why it's always good to get, lots of books and put them on the shelf in your bedroom, so that eventually they will have their moment arrive and you can talk and shout and be joyful with everyone here online. And so, of course, we had to have a drink. Our drink is the Black Cradle, named for the method by which Jadao's consciousness is preserved and implanted into his hosts. And we're going to start with, we're going to have a blend of ingredients from Calcaris and Shuosh Jadao, because they're all sort of coming together as one. We're going to start with 2 ounces of tangerine juice. It's very similar to orange juice, but a little bit brighter, a little bit just fresher. It's not an ingredient that we use very often, but we did use it for a wonderful science fiction novel, also by a trans author, Light from Uncommon Stars, by Rika Aoki, a couple of years ago. Really great mocktail for that as well. We've got our 2 ounces of tangerine juice in here. We're going to get 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice. Really love pineapple juice for, things where you've got, like, a consciousness in your brain or something, not quite like a parasite, not quite like a brain worm, but that there's something in there that's maybe eating you back, as we saw, in Hiron Ennis's excellent novel, Leech, as well. There's something about an ingredient that eats you back that just feels right for when you're sharing brain space. I don't know what it is, but that's how my brain works. We're going to get 1.5 ounces of our pineapple juice in here. As you can see, we're getting something that's going to be very, like, bright, fruity, tropical. It's nice on these cold days here in the Northern Hemisphere to have something, frosty, freezy, and refreshing, because it's getting gray and cold out there. For a bit of brightness, we're going to add 1 ounce of fresh lime juice. Get that zing. And then, for a touch of sweetness, we'll get 1/2 ounce of lemon cordial. We have a lemon custard that appears in the novel. And so, get that lemon cordial, which is our blend of sugar, lemon peels, and lemon juice. You get that, like, richness and darkness of the oily bits of the peel, with still the, like, zing of the lemon juice and the sweetness of the sugar. And so there we go. As you've noticed, we've added all of our ingredients in decreasing amounts. It's a very mathematical, very calendrical, very precise sort of world and science fictional system. So that feels appropriate as we're balancing our mocktail. And we're going to get our ice. Doing crushed ice today. There we go. Try not to spill too much. And we're just going to get a little bit in there and put some fresh ice into our glass. Whoop. Perfect. And if you spill a little bit, that's okay. It's just ice. It's not going to get too sticky. All right, now we'll shake it up, wake it up. There we go. And because we're doing all crushed ice all the time, I'm just going to give that a stout tap. Oop. Pop it on open, and instead of straining, because we want the crushed ice, we're just going to pour that directly in. There we go. And as you can see, we've got one more bottle here on our bar cart. Some Angostura bitters. As I mentioned, we have this implanting of consciousness, this sort of bleed through where you're having trouble with your muscle memory or, the consciousness that's now also living in your brain. And so to represent that and to represent this bit of darkness and bitterness that we see, we're going to just crown our mocktail with some Angostura bitters. A few dashes of Angostura bitters right on top. Give that a swirl so it starts to bleed through. There you go. And there you have it. This is the Black Cradle inspired by NINEFOX GAMBIT. NINEFOX GAMBIT and the entire Machineries of Empire series is available now. I had such a good time with it. As I said, I immediately turned around and snagged the remaining books in the series. Really hope we'll have a chance to talk about those soon here on Bar Cart Bookshelf. I've got a link to snag the book in the description down below, as well as links to various forms of social media, including Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, where there is always a written version of today's recipe. Got a link to snag my book, Cocktails and Consoles. If you're here in the Louisville area this Friday, we're going to be doing a demonstration at Copper and King's Distillery. I really hope you come and check it out. We're going to have a great time. Try the drink. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about NINEFOX GAMBIT. I know that some of y'all have read it because it is a title that we have had requested, and I'm really eager to talk about it. Hit that like button. It makes me so happy when you do. It just makes me grin from ear to ear. Subscribe if you haven't already so you never miss an episode. And until next time, cheers.